This is a question that now that we're getting closer to June and I've been talking about TRYP more, and the most frequently asked question from people is, okay, when will it be in blank? TRYP is coming in June. Get ready. TRYP is coming. By the way, you can actually sign up for a free account right now. Go ahead and do it. TRYPrides.com. I'll give you the code. The code will be in the description below somewhere in this video, or whoever invited you.
Everyone wants to be raising a $100 billion fund. Everyone wants to be writing checks. And it's all about writing checks. It's not about doing the hard work of figuring out, wait, what are the good investments? And that's the problem for all of us. And that's why we should, in fact, be rooting for something negative here.
Speaking of externalities, you could argue there have been some positive ones out of this model, right? And even Uber specifically for the consumer,
Absolutely.
For inflation.
Well, you're absolutely right. So consumers, we've been winning, right? Like, I've been loving the discounts, but it's also an unsustainable business model. It's an unviable business model. And that's not good. And it's not good because everyone starts pursuing unviable business models. And then everybody's competing on who gets funded, not on the quality of your products. And the one who's going to end up winning is not the high quality product, but it's the one with the access to the stupid money. And that is something that we don't want to see.
Blank being wherever you live, because obviously it's going to initially be in the major markets first, such as the South Florida where I am, Atlanta, New Orleans, Phoenix. There's a few others that I'm going to list that are on the target initial 10 or so markets. But what about the person that lives in Branson, Missouri, or St. Paul, Minnesota, or Greensville, South Carolina, like some random secondary, third rural area city? The question isn't where will the question is not will it be where you are. Okay, the question is, once the app is launched in mid-June, will you work to create the demand in your area and get paid for it? That is the question you should be asking yourself. So the initial answer is, we don't know when it will be in blank area besides the initial areas that I'll list in the description of this video. And I'm gonna make this video I'm gonna put it on YouTube, and I'm probably gonna re-record it or edit it, because right now I'm live on Facebook. But you can actually sign up for a free account and be a free rider and actually you can actually earn rewards points and translate it into cash. And that's good and all, but if you really want to take advantage of this opportunity, you can upgrade either now or later, better than later. You can actually upgrade to become an influencer, where you can get paid off of referring drivers, or you can become a driver, so you can obviously be subscribed to the driver app and then earn off of picking passengers up. You can earn 100% of your fare plus tips. You can also become a driver influencer, where you can take advantage of not only building an organization of drivers, getting paid residually off of that, but you're still earning as a driver, getting all those 100% benefits. And the best part about that is you can actually qualify for stock options. Stock options. We're going to talk about that later, why that's important, why you see all these Uber and Lyft drivers, they're lost right now, because once again, they've received the short end of the stick, and it was the big wigs, the corporate guys, who were able to cash out early on this IPO, even as it's tanking. There's a big misconception that people from earlier on have seen with the whole $199 monthly. You do not get charged for that until it is active in your area, until TRYP launches in your area. So for example, if you live in Chicago and we're launching in, say, Florida in June, and Chicago doesn't get activated or launched until, let's say, December, you're not going to get charged the $199 a month. You're only going to have to worry about that one-time setup fee. That setup fee goes to getting your merchant account, getting your background check, insurance, validation, all that type of stuff. That also helps TRYP figure out, okay, hey, this guy in this area, let's say, for example, I use the Chicago example. For example, if Chicago is going to need 4,000 drivers to fully launch, that way you're counted, you're tallied. So it's going to be like that for the whole for every market. So don't hesitate, get yourself involved in some way, shape, or form. Continue watching. Whoa, get involved for as low as $79.99? What? Side hustle? What's this about? What I want to show you guys is this. This is probably the most important thing. Well, before I get to this website, first let me show you this. Okay, this is markettracker.triprides.net. And what you can do is one of the 10 or so markets, I believe it's 11 markets, you can actually put your zip code in here. So I've already, played with this tool. And this is a Miami zip code. So now you're going to see, it's a tracker, it's a counter. So it says that there are, over 3,000 riders. Okay, riders meaning they sign up for a free account and or they downloaded the app and they're waiting. Drivers means drivers. Okay, 83 drivers right now. That's not a lot of drivers to cover an area like Miami, like South Florida, like Fort Lauderdale. So we're going to need a good 4,000 drivers. Okay, now we are going to have initial markets that are going to start with less drivers. So I think Miami might be one of them where, hey, if we have 1,000 drivers, if we have 2,000 drivers, we're ready to go. We need to be able to launch an area and know that once we pump heavy marketing into it and we're getting downloads, we're getting people to download the app, that they're going to have drivers that are going to be able to pick them up. So we can't have 83 drivers. The same is going to be for anywhere else. Okay, the same is going to be with anywhere else. So that is the answer, is will you create the demand? It's up to us, not the company. I do believe that once the app is launched, there are a lot of people that will be upgrading. There are, out of those 3,000 riders, I do expect hundreds of them to start upgrading. So that way we can have the driver count necessary. The same goes for anywhere else you live. So please, guys, do not want to hear that question, especially on Facebook. If you people follow me on a day-to-day basis, the answer is as simple as, what are you going to do to be able to bring the demand to your market once it's launched in the initial market? So do not ask me when it will be in Fargo, North Dakota, Mount Rainier, Washington. I'm just naming off like random middle of nowhere areas. New York City is going to be a different beast because of the whole TLC thing. I mean, even Uber took forever to get, really planted in the New York City area. Put it like this. A lot of people are used to companies coming. First of all, they're used to rideshare already. They're used to Uber and Lyft. And they forget that Uber and Lyft forget Lyft. They forget that Uber took at least 5 years from foundation to launch to actually, be in multiple markets, like around the nation and then worldwide. We're starting off in a few markets, okay? And then from there, everything will kind of fall like dominoes. It'll be a domino effect. A lot of other markets will, they'll create that demand, but this is just for people who are on the sidelines. Don't be on the sidelines, because right now you can start enrolling. You can start enrolling drivers. Just enroll them. Get them interested. I went live the other day, and let me show you. I uploaded it on YouTube. Okay. Check this out. This is when I was on my way to the airport, and I spoke to I spoke to an Uber driver, and he let me know his frustrations, his pains. I actually got to follow up with him because I did get his number, and he did hear about TRYP somewhere, but I'm gonna get him the proper breakdown of what needs to happen, and then he's gonna have his driver buddies, and this could be a good little addition right here. So that's pretty much it. I went live randomly. I don't know if there's anything. There really shouldn't be any more questions. The question you need to ask yourself a question: do I want to get involved with this? Does this make sense? And will I create the demand in my area? And it doesn't have to be your area. There's a lot of people who do live in of rural areas, faraway areas, areas that don't have rideshare community. Well, we have the internet, guys. We have social media. We have the internet. You might know people in other cities. Reach out to them. All right, be the first person to let them know about it. Go take a trip, take a trip to your nearest big city, and create a foundation out there wherever. That's all you guys need to know. So don't sit back and wait, because guess what? The app is gonna come out, and then it's gonna be like people are gonna be twiddling their thumbs. Eventually, the company will do what they need to do to get the word out there, to get the drivers out there, but this is giving us the chance. This is giving us the chance. I like walking around while I speak, so let me walk around this. It was a nice day today. I didn't even go out. So you guys have to create the demand, the buzz, because if it was up to TRYP to be to follow in Uber's footsteps, what they would do is they would just raise a shitload of money, pardon my language. They would raise a bunch of money, hundreds of millions of dollars, right? Billions of dollars over a decade. And they would just burn it on advertising. They would burn it on trying to acquire and buy other things, trying to get into other things, into delivery, into freight, into food delivery, all that type of stuff, right? Meanwhile, the drivers are suffering. The drivers are getting the short end of the stick.
Under the argument that there are so many industries that are changing massively, and they have a huge war chest to pour money into those areas and dominate them if nobody else steps in to challenge it. The Sand Hill Road would say, we're doing that.
And they should be doing that. But that doesn't mean you need to do the mega venture capital model, which is writing billion-dollar checks to pretty immature companies who aren't really ready for it. And then as a consequence, the externalities to the whole ecosystem are large, which is a way of saying everyone wants to be raising a $100 billion fund. Everyone wants to be writing checks. And it's all about writing checks. It's not about doing the hard work of figuring out, wait, what are the good investments? And that's the problem for all of us. And that's why we should, in fact, be rooting for something negative here.
Speaking of externalities, you could argue there have been some positive ones out of this model, right? And even Uber specifically for the consumer,
Absolutely.
For inflation.
Well, you're absolutely right. So consumers, we've been winning, right? Like I've been loving the discounts, but it's also an unsustainable business model. It's an unviable business model. And that's not good. And it's not good because everyone starts pursuing unviable business models. And then everybody's competing on who gets funded, not on the quality of your products. And the one who's going to end up winning is not the high quality product, but it's the one with the access to the stupid money. And that is something that we don't want to see. And that kind of goes on and on and on. And you're right, Carl. I love it. And I like Uber, and I admire Uber, the company. But these larger distortions are much more important to the overall economy.
So everything that these analysts are saying is very true and relevant to what's going on in the rideshare market and economy, and this IPO stuff, and Uber and Lyft tanked, and the stock market and stuff like that. But what nobody is still bringing up is the fact of the drivers. The drivers are the most important component of everything, and they're not talking about how these companies need to take care of their drivers. Everybody's talking about the stock and all this. Everything makes sense. The last little bit thing that they're not talking about is the drivers. That's where I feel we are going to win as TRYP. If you're interested in even being a part of this venture, whether as an influencer, a driver influencer, so you can get the stock options bonus and really help build this economy, this ecosystem. Man, you guys, anybody who's still watching this long into the video and really is paying attention, needs to know that you're getting in on something huge. The timing couldn't be better. The drivers didn't even get any stock options. A lot of things that TRYP is doing, right, to make it like a grassroots effort. This is grassroots. We're able to use social media. We're able to use word of mouth marketing. We're able to do our own events and be able to get the word out there. You saw how easy it was. You see the other day when I spoke to a real Uber driver, you see how easy it is to get their interest in something like this. So go out there. First of all, get enrolled, get signed up.
You could blame that, right? You could blame the last round of investing. So the question I have is, do private investors, and I asked Mr. Wonderful this as well, do private investors somehow know something more or less than the public market?
So let's just consider two things on this particular deal. And we might as well go back to Lyft. You remember back in the late 90s, I'll use one example, Toys.com. I was an investor in Toys.com. I went to zero, never made any money. And I grew a little 4-inch Charlie Munger on my shoulder when that happened. And he appears, you can't see him, but he's on my shoulder every time I'm getting pitched a deal like Lyft or Uber. And Charlie says only one thing. If it has no cash flow, just say no. And I have listened to my little Charlie ever since the late 90s, and I've been right 100% of the time. This company is valueless. It doesn't have any cash flow. It's a speculation. It's no different than putting your money down on red or black in Vegas than giving money to one of these losers.
Or like the way I like to think about it is like setting up a storefront and, you know, selling dimes for a nickel. Might as well be doing that at this point, right? So
actually, you think about this, it's really one of the largest transfers of wealth. Maybe it should be Elizabeth Warren should be the CEO, because every time you get in an Uber,
they're subsidizing our rides.
Exactly, by about 30%. I use it all the time, and Lyft the same way, going up and down Collins Avenue.
So it's the
Miami.
investors that are subsidizing these, right? SoftBank,
Right.
and now it's on the public market. People, anyone buying into Uber stock, they're the ones subsidizing these Uber rides, which I take on occasion.
So
I know.
you don't think there's anything they could have done? I mean, one of the questions is, had they come in with a lower price, the flip side is they wouldn't have raised as much money for the company, and boy, does the company need as much runway and cash as possible, given the losses that they have. But had they come in, let's say they decided, okay, we're not going to do $44 or $45, we're going to go at 40.
I mean, I think.
By the way, psychologically, that might have actually made it even worse, right? Because people might have said, oh, my
Well,
goodness,
they don't have any confidence in this company, so they're actually pricing it that low.
Here.
Well, I think.
So I made a post the other day, and let me go find it so I can read it. A lot of you guys are probably asking, why is Greg still, you know, talking about TRYP 6-7 months later? Okay, vision. So let me read a post, and it's all about vision. All right, you're probably asking yourself why Greg is still talking about this TRYP thing 6 months later. TRYP announced their intention in late 2018, then went to work on doing everything a rideshare company needs to do: get licensed, get insured, approved in airports, complete the app, tweak the app, get a headquarters, go through delays and technical issues, going from doing third-party things to doing their own thing, mainly with the back office system. It happened transparently in front of tens of thousands of people. Instead of going through that in quiet all of last year and first quarter this year, then launching out of nowhere this upcoming month, mid-June. It's no different than seeing a groundbreaking of a new tower, right? A new building happen. If you hear that, hey, this tower is going to be, you know, maybe you see like on in front of the scaffolding or in front of the wooden boards, you know, it says completion, you know, summer 2020. You know, and a whole bunch of things happen. Next thing you know, it's opening, you know, spring of 2021. It's not a big deal. Okay, it's no different than, you know, it going through its changes, you know, unexpectedly, and in between have all types of delays, you know, strikes, code zoning issues, natural disasters, water main breaks. Anything might happen, you know, while a tower is trying to be built, and they might miss its, you know, initial intended opening date. It's not a big deal. It's still going to open. So anyway, TRYP, it's still good enough of a business model to have stayed tuned all this time. Okay, while of course staying busy and doing other things in the meantime. You know, yeah, we're not making any money from TRYP, but you know, I'm okay because I had other things going on. So this delay is actually a blessing in disguise. The timing couldn't be better. You know, coming in after people got to see the rideshare industry giants flop in the markets and their mistreatment of drivers get exposed all over social media. So once again, if you are just tuning in and you have no idea what's going on with TRYP, do yourself a favor, lock yourself in a room, pay attention, go through the information that I left, you know, in the description, or I'm going to leave in the comments somewhere. Go through the information, sign up for free. Okay, you can sign up for free. You don't have to upgrade yet, even though it would be better to get yourself a link and understand what's about to happen, and understand that for it to arrive in your area, you are going to have to put in the work to create the demand. Okay? That's pretty much it.
Okay. What do you make of the whole thing with Uber, the way it's traded and the IPO in general?
I mean, it's not a surprise. It's not a growth company. It's not, it's a brand. It's an 8-year-old company, 9-year-old company. They just waited too long, and there's nothing exciting about it. Maybe they'll introduce something new. Maybe Uber Eats will explode and the numbers will show something incredible. But I don't think you could have expected anything different.
Well, you know that they would take issue with you saying they're not a growth company. I mean, they may have an issue with revenue growth slowing down and the fact that they lose a lot of money and there really is no idea when they're going to be profitable. But they are a growth company, though, no? You really think they're such a mature company that the story has changed completely because they waited so long to go public?
Look, I don't know what the new business lines are going to introduce, but the reality is you're 9 years in and you're still having to buy your revenue. That's not a good sign. You're 9 years in, and in this economy, the fact that the whole gig economy gets challenged when the overall economy and unemployment rates are low, and the economy is growing because it's not a primary job for most people. It's the job of last resort for most people. So they're looking to that increases the cost of finding new drivers.